Hey guys, Fleet First here. On the 10th of November, the long-awaited update for Fleet Battles was released on Spartan Games' website. I'll leave the link in the description so you can see all of the changes that were made, but for now I'm going to be talking about the most significant ones. So, first and foremost, Mach 6 is no longer an auto-vulnerable, rather just a probable one, as a roll of anything other than a skull will inflict a token. I like this change as I always felt like an instant vulnerable token was a bit unfair. Furthermore, vulnerable tokens don't affect damage track. This means that vulnerable tokens now only affect the roll of the enemy defense dice. While not crippling, it does put the UNSC at a bit of a disadvantage, but on the plus side it does now relieve the pressure on the need to make Mach 6 groups, which we're all kinda used to by now. Each faction now has a generic commander, which basically has the same rules as one another. They're meant to be used in official games and are a lot cheaper than the narrative commanders we've been using up until this point. Overall, I think this is a nice addition to the game, as it adds a bit more variety and gives us some cool new tactics to use. I'm not sure that these commanders are more competitive than the previous ones, as they lack a lot of the good abilities such as engaging strength and enhanced targeting, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how they actually play out. The update mainly seems to be focused around the Marathon and the Valiant, which previously were both copies of one another, except that the Valiant was more expensive and it moved slower. This is no longer the case. Now the Marathon has weaker weapons and less point defense. The Valiant now has the high value target rule. This means that its build rating is actually one lower as listed. This only refers to when you're building battle groups rather than how much you score. If you were to take out an unsupported Valiant, you'd still get 3 points. However, now since it's BR2, you can cram 2 into a battle group or have one with 2 halberds. This makes it extremely powerful. It almost makes the Marathon obsolete were it not for the higher cost and reduced speed of the Valiant. However, I will probably be swapping out Marathons for Valiants if I can. The CPV also got the same rule, which is called High Value Target by the way. Now they are both BR2 by default, and 3 when supported. No word so far on whether the defended or escorted variants of both the CPV and the Valiant get a reduction on their build ratings, but we definitely know for the stock and supported variants. So now you have the ability to field 2 CPVs in a group. This will, of course, lead to more torpedo spam, as now you can run 4 ADPs in a CPV, or even 2 ADPs and 2 CPVs, allowing you to get more than 30 torpedoes in a single pool. Hopefully the fact that both sides now have ridiculously powerful groups, it will help to maintain some kind of balance, if there even is one left. The CES has its points reduced from 825 to 750, not as much as I'd have liked, but an improvement nonetheless. I still think both massives are horrifically overpriced, but I suppose it's better than nothing. And finally, Spartan has decided to prevent elements from specialist battle groups from being used in standard groups. What this means is that any formation with a gold damage track can only be used in a specialist battle group. This kinda sucks, since now we can't field groups like the Marathon and double shield formation frigates, nor can we technically field the Combat Orion, since it doesn't have a specialist battle group to be put in. I really don't understand why Spartan did this. It doesn't really improve any aspect of the game, all it does is just limit us further, which sucks. Overall, I'd say this update has improved the game. The Marathon has been put in a position where it is good, but not essential. This allows the Valiant to have more of a purpose, while still leaving room for future growth. However, I still think that they missed out on some important changes, such as maybe making the ADPs a bit less powerful, or nerfing Cortana in some way. Some weird issues still remain unaddressed, but these are minor problems at best. It's good to see that Fleet Battles is still supported, and hopefully we'll see some more ships next year. For now though, I'm happy to spend the next few months relearning and re-strategizing the new Halo Fleet Battles, not to mention making more videos. So I'll see you then.